Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Major William S. Barclay, Jr., Captain Scott J. Reynolds, Sergeant Brian Hanley, Sergeant Tim Sable, Major General William Robertson, Colonel William Dunsberg, Colonel Robert Kelly, Specialist Gary Rhodes, Steve Willis, Robert Williams, Conway LeBlue, Tom McKeenan. What do all these people have in common? They've all been Clinton-sided. Every one of them are the Clintons' former bodyguards, and all 12 are dead. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith. Giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news media, and giving you the real news every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be here, or be square. And then our good friend Wayne Dupree comes on at 8 o'clock. So you've got two shows back-to-back, nonstop information of real news, exposing the fake news, the Democrats, and the evils that are in this world. Folks, crush a share, crush a like, jump down in the description below. All the links are down there. And thank you to the Patreons that jumped on board over the weekend. Much appreciated. And if you've followed me or got me on notifications on Twitter, you saw that Saturday morning I did do an impromptu scope about the breaking news of Jeffrey Epstein committing suicide on Saturday morning. His body found lifeless Saturday morning. What does this mean? I'll get into all the details of what it means, as well as the Clinton body count today. We're also going to talk about some great Trump news that's happening over the weekend that nobody's going to talk about, because that doesn't fit their narrative. They desperately need Donald Trump out of office because they want their power and their money back. They're hemorrhaging money. They're hemorrhaging power. They're losing every time we turn around, and we're absolutely thrilled about that. Donald Trump, not part of the cabal, not part of the one world order, the globalist. That's why they hate him. That's why they had to get rid of Epstein, because Epstein was going to drop the shoe, drop the hammer on the Democrats and world leaders that are wrapped up in this sick cult of sin and evilness that is totally demonic and satanic. We're going to expose all that today on the show. So let's jump right into, I'll wrap it up with great Trump news at the end so that we can leave on a happy note, because man, oh man, some of this stuff, when you talk about somebody needs to go to prison, I'm for real. Somebody needs to go to prison over all this evilness that is going on. My pastor said to me as we talked about politics and odds and ends and people getting away with things and the system and justice, and he said, Brian, you don't understand. The system was set up by human beings who are naturally flawed. So the system is flawed. The system will never be perfect, guys, because the system is set up and created by those who are flawed individuals. The only system that is not flawed, the only laws that are not flawed, the only promises that are never, ever broken are those given to us by God and Christ above. Other than that, we live in a world of evil. We truly do. So don't get sucked up into all this stuff. Don't get upset about this. Keep in mind and understand that we are to walk through this earth picking up low-lying fruit and heading towards God. That's truly what it is. Tell people about Christ and keep moving forward. If they don't want to listen to you, keep moving on. It's in like politics where you sit there on college campus start debating people. I ain't all about that. If you want to know about Christ, we'll talk about it. Come to my church. We can hang out and have a good time. Other than that, if you're going to fight me on it, I'm not fighting. I don't got time for that. Life's too short. Anyways, guys, jumping into what happened over the weekend, breaking news again. And I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible because there is so much information. You guys maybe hit rewind and replay to get all the details, but I got to go through this pretty quick. Jeffrey Epstein committing suicide. He was on suicide watch 3 weeks ago. Now they're claiming he was taken off suicide watch. Many experts debunking this, many experts going against this. If he was taken off suicide watch, it would have had to have been gone through face-to-face meeting with the top psychologist, the head psychologist of the entire prison. Would have had to do a complete and full evaluation, and then that evaluation would have had to have been signed off by the warden. There is no other way he could have been taken off suicide watch. So if he was, that's how it would have had to have happened. The lawyers told the inmates and he told his lawyers and he told his inmates, he told everybody, and this reported by the Daily Mail UK, that he was going to be murdered. DailyMail.com, Jeffrey Epstein told guards weeks before he hanged himself that someone tried to kill him. Questions mount over why billionaire pedophile was taken off suicide watch, just as sex slaves lawsuit named powerful friends, including Prince Andrew's. Absolutely. Not only that, but we also had breaking news a couple of weeks ago that Epstein was looking at cutting a 5-year prison sentence if he turned over and he rolled over on all these high-profile people. We're talking about kings and queens and pontiffs and dictators and rulers around the world, the highest of highest, the most influential of most influential, the richest of the rich, the Hollywood elites, the $20 million per movie Hollywood elites. We're talking the who's who of the who's who. He had everything for everyone, and he filmed everybody. Guys, he had undercover films. He secretly filmed all these people. You want to talk about blackmail? This blackmail only Rod Rosenstein could love. My goodness. And if you don't know that backstory, I'll explain a little bit later. But the deal was, man, he was going to cut a deal and he's going to roll over on everybody. Could not let that happen. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's those who conspire. This is absolutely true. The guards were told to take a special break. You don't want to be around right now, guys. You got to take a special break during the middle of the night. CCTV malfunction. And on Friday, what started all of this was our good friend Mike Cernovich. Friday, 2,000 document docu-dump. Unsealed Epstein documents are here. Update. The day after these court records were unsealed, Jeffrey Epstein died via suicide. Over 2,000 previously sealed documents in a case involving Jeffrey Epstein are now available. Documents were sealed under court order until Mike Cernovich of Cerno Media filed a motion to unseal the documents. The Miami Herald soon joined lawsuit, and the Second Circuit Court of Appeals ordered the records unsealed. Highlights from Jeffrey Epstein's files. Bill Clinton held a private event on Epstein's pedophile island, according to one of the Epstein's victims. Clinton had previously denied ever being on the island. Epstein did invite 2 young brunettes to dinner, which he gave on his Caribbean island for Mr. Clinton shortly after he left office. I'd have been around 17 at the time, she says. I flew to the Caribbean with Jeffrey, and then Maxwell went to pick up Bill in a huge black helicopter that Epstein had bought her. I remember she was very excited because she got her license around the first year we met. I used to get frightened flying with her, but Bill had the Secret Service with him, and I remember him talking about what a good job she did. I don't remember seeing Bill again on the trip, but I assumed Maxwell flew him back. Yeah, somebody absolutely needs to put Maxwell in a protective custody of sorts. This was the real thin, skinny, older woman that has been seen with Epstein and has been described as the madam, if you will, the woman who escorts the young children into Epstein, escorts the young children into Clinton and whatnot. This is the woman that orchestrates all of these things with Epstein, and somebody needs to get her on a lockdown. I'm not saying arrest her. I'm saying at least keep her safety so that she can speak without, possible Clinton siding. And it's our good friend at Chuck Callisto. Breaking: Epstein's accuser names multiple powerful Democrats in alleged sex ring. Raise your hand if you can't wait for the Clinton drop. This by StarPolitical.com. This was all on Friday. This is what happened on Friday that they don't want you to know about and want you to hear about. They want to make all of this go away, and then all of a sudden, Saturday morning, We wake up, I was at a soccer event with the kids, and lo and behold, message alert, breaking news, Epstein commits suicide. How convenient. Breaking in live, 2 guards at the MCC who normally have oversight during the shift overnight were told to go ahead and take a break. 2 guards at MCC, that's the prison where he's being held, who normally have the overnight shift that watches over suicide inmates and protect them. You check on them every 30 minutes. Were both told to leave the area 3 hours earlier for scheduled maintenance to the jail cells and hallways. This morning, Epstein found dead. Yes, no, I'm not conspiracy theory. These are all facts of what happened. I've said many times before, if you're ever flying in an aircraft, it literally takes a cascading malfunction for an aircraft to come out of the sky. It's just not possible. They just don't fall out of the sky. One thing doesn't make that happen. It has to be a cascading effect of events, just one after another, in order for an aircraft to come out of the sky. In order to get Epstein dead, to make him dead so that he can't talk no more, because, dead men tell no lies, there's going to have to be a cascading effect of people involved, coordinating, in order to get to this individual. Guys, this is our justice system that absolutely needs to get involved. Already Attorney General Barr said that they have launched an investigation into the death. Attorney General Barr absolutely PO'd that this has happened. Many interviews over the weekend of former prison guards, also prison wardens who have talked to newspaper outlets and interviewed and said, "Oh, no, you didn't. If this was my prison and I was the warden of this prison, I absolutely would have made this priority number 1. There would have been a guard stationed right outside his cell 24/7. Nobody would have ever taken their eyes off of him, because it would have been a CYA moment. Cover your you-know-what moment. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound cavalier or political, but I absolutely would have covered my you-know-what in this situation. This is the highest high-profile situation that we can think about, guys. El Chapo was held at this very facility, this high facility, lights on 22 to 24 hours at a time. Should have been put in a padded room, no bed, no shoes, no socks, wearing a paper outfit, if you will, and just no blankets, no pillows, no nothing. Should have been locked up in a padded room. We could talk about, because hindsight's 50-50, what shoulda, woulda, coulda. But I'm just stressing the major malfunction and the major failures that had transpired to where they got to, my personal opinion, they got to Epstein. No way on God's green earth. El Chapo was held here. No way on God's green earth that this could have happened without some intervention or something outside intervening in. Reports are saying that Jeffrey Epstein met with his lawyers for hours and hours and hours per day, so he didn't have to be in solitary confinement. Again, telling his lawyers, telling everybody they would listen, they're going to kill me. And I said weeks ago, guys, I said the putting Epstein in prison was a great thing. However, the Clintons know where he's at. The powers that be now know where he is at all times. The second suicide attempt, and now apparently successful. And speaking about the Clintons and speaking about the issues involving them, well, just a rundown real quick, the Whitewater scandal, guys. Whitewater scandal, come to find out at the very end of it, the investigation, Kenneth Starr said we couldn't find anything there. Had to do with 230 acres of land. The Clintons got involved with James McDougal to develop the land. The economy, the land, things fell apart. Apparently a $40,000, $50,000 loss for the Clintons. This is all the way back in the 80s, at least 70s, 80s. So $50,000 back then, I'm sure, was a lot of money. But again, James McDougal comes up dead. Clinton's convicted Whitewater partner died of apparent heart attack. While in solitary confinement, he was a key witness in the Kenneth Starr investigation. All three inquiries of the investigation land deal yielded insufficient evidence. However, James McDougal was charged and convicted on fraud and other dealings, setting up a bank and actually crushing the bank, and it goes out of business. And people are talking about money, federally insured money that came through to bail him out. Who knows where that money wound up, if it got to the Clintons or not. It has not been proven. Mary Mahoney, former White House intern, was murdered July 97 at a Starbucks coffee in Germantown. The murder happened just as she was to go public with her story of sexual harassment in the White House. It was a drive-by slaying, according to the news. I don't remember the last time there was a drive-by slaying at a Starbucks. That don't normally happen. Speaking about that, before I forget, oh, goodness gracious, I did some detective sleuthing over the weekend. Speaking about the rarities of Starbucks shootings and the rarities of people dying in solitary confinement at this particular prison, take a guess. Just take a guess. In the last 21 years at this single prison, not all the other prisons in America with 2.3 million people, but this prison alone, how many people successfully in solitary confinement committed murder? In solitary confinement actually killed themselves. I'm waiting. Think about it. 1. This is 2 in 21 years. I'm just saying, guys, very, very highly suspect. And as we're getting into the Clinton body count, I just part and parcel all of it. Vince Foster, we've talked about many times here on the show. Our good friend Gary Byrne, the Secret Service agent at the White House who wrote the book, Crisis of Character, about the Clintons, talked with his other Secret Service members. They said that after Vince Foster shot himself in the head and they were on the scene, they had to reconstruct the gun because it was broken. Fact, not fiction, not talking about conspiracy theories. That's a fact. Lead that where it may be. Ron Brown died along with 39 other people when the T-43, a converted 737 used by the Air Force, carrying the group on a trip to Bosnia, crashed while approaching the airport on the verge of being indicted and having stated publicly his willingness to make a deal with prosecutors. Ron Brown's death brought to an end his ability to testify. The very next day, Ron Brown's personal lawyer was murdered in a drive-by shooting. A few days later, the air traffic controller, who had been charged during the aircraft crash, was found dead and declared a suicide. On leaving Ron Brown's funeral, this is the one where Bill Clinton was seen laughing and joking and then quickly got into character, attempting to make it look like he was crying. Yeah, guys, we remember that. So does the internet. C. Victor Razor II. Razor, a major player in the Clinton fundraising organization, died in a private plane crash in 92. Paul Tully, Democrat National Committee political director, found dead in a hotel room in Little Rock, Arkansas, 92 in September. Described by the Clintons as a dear friend and trusted advisor. Ed Willie, Clinton fundraiser, found dead November 93, deep in the woods in Virginia of a gunshot wound to the head, ruled suicide. Ed Willie died on the same day. This is Ed Willie, his wife, Kathleen Willie. Ed committed suicide on the same day Kathleen Willie came out with her claims against Bill Clinton for groping and raping her in the Oval Office. I'm just saying, coincidence. Jerry Parks, head of Clinton's gubernatorial security team in Little Rock, gunned down in his car at a deserted intersection outside Little Rock Park. Park's son said that his father was building a dossier on the Clintons. He had allegedly threatened to reveal the information. Oh, no, that is a mistake. You should not do that or tell them you're going to do that. After he died, the files were mysteriously removed from his house. Henry and Ives case. Boys on the Track. I find this one most interesting, and it leads to a lot of other things, guys, that are actually factual. Called The Boys on the Track. A book also written about this called Boys on the Track. August 23rd, 87, two teenage boys were stabbed and bludgeoned to death in a quiet suburban Little Rock, Arkansas, placed side by side on nearby railroad tracks. Their bodies were later mutilated by northbound Union Pacific train. This only found out because at first the coroner involved, the guy that was involved, had said these kids were so hopped up on marijuana they had no idea that they were getting run down by a train, and there was no no foul play. A lot of people in uproar. Bodies were exhumed, re-examined. Oh yes, they were stabbed multiple times, beaten, bludgeoned, and put on the railroad tracks to be run over. Bill Clinton, the governor, now running for office as president of the United States, takes this medical individual and rises him up through the ranks. Yes. And then also says, well, he was tired. He's under a lot of stress. You got to let that be. Kind of rough. So other people involved in this Boys on the Track situation, other ones involved that have died. Keith McCaskill died. He was stabbed 113 times, November 88. Gregory Collins died from a gunshot wound in 89. Jeff Rhodes, he was shot, mutilated, found burned, trash dumped in 89. James Milan found decapitated. Coroner ruled his death due to natural causes. I don't know how natural head comes off, but anyways. Jordan Kesselson was found shot to death in a front seat of his pickup truck in June 1990. Richard Winters was a suspect in the Ives Henry deaths, was killed in a set-up robbery in July of 89. I'm just saying, these are fact, not fiction. American-made, great movie. Just saw it just a little while ago, I think, when it first came out. I saw it. It has Tom Cruise in it. The movie was fascinating, fantastic, but also infuriating and enraging because we saw what our government was doing. And I only bring this up because this is surrounding Arkansas, drug smuggling, the Clintons as he was governor, enriching himself. All kinds of things that the governor would have had to have signed off on that these people were doing, that depicted in this movie, that Clintons were involved in. I'm just saying, guys, it's inspired by the life of Barry Seal, a former TWA pilot who flew missions for the CIA and became a drug smuggler for the cartels in the 1980s. In order to avoid jail time, Seal became an informant for the DEA. And as the movie depicts, the DEA and the CIA and everybody trying to covert each other and get around each other, doing all kinds of dastardly deeds in the 80s. You can imagine what it's like today. And you're like, well, this not really the Clinton. Well, I don't know, guys. Robert Bates. Who's Robert Bates? Robert Bates is an aircraft mechanic for Barry Seal. He died March 29th, 1995. Robert Bates supposedly died of an overdose of mouthwash. I don't think you could die from that. I think you probably throw up from that. Maybe that's some bad bowel movements. It was regarded by local authorities as an obvious homicide, but was treated as a suicide. Kathy Ferguson, ex-wife of Arkansas State Trooper Danny Ferguson, was found dead in May of 94 in her living room with a gunshot to her head. It was ruled a suicide, even though there were several packed suitcases as she was going to go somewhere. Danny, her husband, was a co-defendant along with Bill Clinton in the Paula Jones lawsuit. Kathy Ferguson was a possible corroborating witness for Paula Jones. And as you guys remember, the rape and the assault on Paula Jones, and Bill Clinton actually had to pay her hundreds of thousands of dollars, I believe. She even said, I don't even want the money. I just want an apology. Nah, he paid the money. There ain't no apology from that one. Now we get into some political world leaders and strange dealings going around. This one most fascinating to me. 2016, this happened as we were reporting on the run-up to the presidential campaign. I was blown. taken back by this one. John Ash, former UN General Assembly president, he died June 22nd, the day after my birthday, by the way, 2016, initially reported as having died from a heart attack. John's throat had apparently been crushed. At the point, the official story changed to him to accidentally dropping a barbell on his throat. The plot line from the episode, an exercise in fatality from the TV show Columbo, crushing his larynx. Ash was about to begin trial for a bribery charge involving Chinese businessman Ninj Lap Singh, who has been implicated but not charged in the '96 Chinagate scandal for funneling illegal donations to Bill Clinton's re-election fund through Arkansas restaurant owner Charlie Ty. Ash was supposed to testify about Hillary's links. Later that same day, found dead. Yeah, the story was the police on the beat said, "Ooh, got a crushed larynx." Then the high-up official said, "Oh, no, it was a heart attack." Now we're starting to find out through Eyes Wide Shut, if you will, the movie, if you haven't seen it, an absolute must-see to the inside of this dark, deep, nasty cabal of stuff that on Capitol Hill, that high officials were testifying, this is all the way back in the 80s, testifying that they have a device that literally would shoot a frozen concoction that into your skin, and it would leave nothing but like a little tiny little red mark of a pinhole red mark, and it would melt into your body, and it would cause a heart attack and be undetected after coroner looked through the body and, did the autopsy and be undetected. You couldn't detect the chemical. And you're like, Brian, oh, that's too great. Well, these officials testified and showed the information, said we got this. Back in the 90s, when I was in the Air Force, the way that they would give us our vaccinations and our shots, we'd all stand in a line, one after another, with our sleeves pulled up, and one after another, they would shoot into our arms like an air gun, but they'd shoot the liquid into our arms. There's no needles. This is in the 90s. There's no needles. And they would just shoot. Don't want to move because you get cut open. But yes, absolutely, I've seen it. I don't think that they can't come up with devise a way to do this. And again, some of these websites I'm referring to, whatreallyhappened.com, great one, the link in the description below. The body count for the Clintons, an absolute must read. And this one, the most recent, Clinton-sided, if you will. And I reported on this the day that it happened, July 14, 2017, not very long ago, guys. Klaus Eberwein, Haitian government official, died July 14th, 2017, just says days before Eberwein was due to appear before the Haitian Senate Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, where he was widely expected to testify that the Clinton Foundation misappropriated Haitian earthquake donations from international donors. He was found dead in a Miami hotel of a gunshot to the head, ruled suicide. Eberwein, who had acknowledged his life was in danger, was a fierce critic of the Clinton Foundation's activities in the Caribbean islands, where he served as Director General of the government's Economic Development Agency and the social event. For 3 years, he was on this Economic Development Agency board. For 3 years, comes to Florida, about ready to testify and commit suicide. That doesn't happen, guys. That just doesn't happen. And down there in the show notes as well, the Gateway pundit Jim Hoff posted this up. Thank you so much, Jim, for all that you do. Here is the complete list of the Clinton associates who allegedly died mysteriously or committed suicide before testimony, including Jeffrey Epstein. Not included in Gateway pundit Jim Hoff's list, and he makes a note of this, are the 4 heroes that died in Benghazi: Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smyth, Glenn Doherty, and Ty Woods. And my wife has not seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut. I have. Carrie and I reference it on the show here every once in a while, my cousin Carrie. And it is an absolute must-see. because this will show you, this will get into the details of the evils that are out there. Protect your children, guys. You absolutely must protect your children. The devil, the dark side, the evils of the world, whatever you call it, are out to get our children. The bloodlust, the sex, the pornography, all of the stuff that is of the dark side. That's where it is. It's all on the left. Hollywood, Democrats, political people in high up positions. You could probably find Republicans in there too, I'm sure. But those that have a compass, a God-driven moral compass. And I'm throwing this out there, guys. I know Donald Trump's a man. He's a man's man. He's a ladies' man. Women want to be with him, and men want to be like him. That's the kind of guy he is. Just true for truly. However, watching his actions, seeing as he's lived his life in 73 years, he absolutely has a compass that keeps him maybe not necessarily away from involved in sex with women, because we all love, as men, we all love that. But looking after those who are vulnerable. He's taking care of people like that. And now in his administration, these sex rings that he is busting up to the tune of thousands and thousands of children and young underage girls, just absolutely releasing them from this prison, from this slavery. When we talk about slavery, we're talking about Democrat Party. You know this, and I know this, guys. And if you're a Republican and you're involved in this kind of stuff, you ain't no friend of ours, and you ain't no Republican. That is for an absolute fact. I don't need to name names. You guys know the players, but I'm just saying. So let's check this out real quick. This is from our good friend at A Red Pill Report. The real Eyes Wide Shut, 1 of 5. This is a great thread. All 5 clips about 2 minutes long. So jump down in the description, watch all 5 of them. It is absolutely fascinating.
Who do you think those people were? Those were not just ordinary people there. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
Broken baby doll heads and torn limbs scattered across tables. Mannequins arranged to look like corpses. And the host wearing a menacing horned mask. No, this isn't some weird horror movie. These are actual photos taken at an Illuminati ball held by none other than the Rothschilds. The leaked pictures depict a scene eerily similar to Stanley Kubrick's 1999 movie, Eyes Wide Shut. Had Kubrick himself been a witness to these elite mansion parties? Kubrick died just days after showing his film to the studio, and many believe he was killed for his daring expose. And what was in the mysterious 24 minutes the studio cut from the film after his death?
And he died a day after refusing to cut 24 minutes of it. Well, they cut it. You better believe they cut out of this film.
From ancient Luciferian rituals to cannibalism and human sacrifice, what really goes on at these elite mansion parties? Brace yourselves as we enter the real Eyes Wide Shut. The aberrant perversions of the powerful so-called elite had always been a recurring theme for Kubrick, but he took it one step further in what would end up being his final film, Eyes Wide Shut, which depicted a masked ball identical to one the Rothschilds had thrown years earlier. The year was 1972, and the Rothschild mansion outside of Paris looked like it was in flames. Huge flickering orange lights projected a fiery inferno across the main edifice. It was all part of the preparation for a masked ball they were hosting, and the guest list read like a
Little conspiratorial, I know, I understand. However, it is very strange that Stanley Kubrick would make this movie exposing the evils of the inner workings. I mean, he was in Hollywood. He probably knew of these things, saw some of these things going on, and literally made this movie as almost a documentary to the evils and the sick, satanic, sadistic evils that are out there. Whether it be the Illuminatis or the Rothschilds or whatever, guys. There is just, you put any name to it. Evil is evil. It doesn't matter. So call us conspiracy theorists. Call us whatever you want. We know exactly what's going on. All we're doing is we're showing the people who conspired to make it happen. And as Donald Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, gets involved in the Epstein murder, I'm just saying, guys, this is the world that Epstein was involved in. This is the world that Bill Clinton is involved in. Hillary Clinton, all the big names and big stars and people around the world. This is the sick, sadistic world that they are a part of. So why wouldn't they kill Epstein? They had to. Too many heads were going to roll. Too many things were going to happen. It would have been absolutely bad. I will say this. A lot of people are saying that, oh, well, this is over. It's done. Walk away from the Epstein. Walk away from this. Walk away from that. I don't believe so. I think Bill Barr is going to dig in deep, and I feel like he's going to find some of the players that are involved. But with that being said, guys, you got to remind yourself, we live in a flawed world, a flawed society. And the rules and the laws are created by flawed human beings. And as you guys get ready to take a shower and clean off from all that goop, let's wrap this up on a great note with Donald Trump absolutely making America great again. Donald Trump making the world safe again in talks with Kim Jong-un. Apparently, he sent Donald Trump a letter giving a little bit of an apology for the rockets and this and that, but absolutely wanting to come back to the table and talk. That's great to hear, and thank you, Donald Trump, for tweeting that out. Otherwise, we'd never know. This also, our good friend at Soar on the Wings, U.S. taxpayers to save $60 billion a year after Donald Trump's cuts off benefits to welfare-dependent illegals. Watch video for more statistics of illegals as economic predators.
Trump will make it much harder for immigrants on welfare to become citizens. One America's Pearson Sharp explains how President Trump's latest plan is aimed at saving U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars every year.
Migrants will soon have a much harder time taking advantage of America's welfare system thanks to President Trump. Starting next month, the president is rolling out plans to save U.S. taxpayers nearly $60 billion every year by cutting off benefits to welfare-dependent migrants. The plan doesn't require congressional approval and targets immigrants who have relied on public welfare programs, making it harder for them to become citizens or get green cards. President Trump has talked about cutting off the incentives that bring hordes of low-skill, welfare-dependent migrants pouring across America's borders each year. Now, White House senior advisor Stephen Miller is working with the president to make that happen. According to the proposal, immigrants who are in the U.S. legally and have taken advantage of public benefits like Obamacare or food stamps could be blocked from getting legal status in the U.S. Analysts and immigration lawyers say this could affect more than 20 million immigrants currently living in America. A spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security says the administration is committed to enforcing current immigration laws that ensure that migrants are self-sufficient. The plan would be a massive tax break for working Americans who currently fork over an average of $1,600 for each of the 1.5 million migrants who pour over the border every year. That number includes welfare, crime, education, and healthcare for the mass importation of impoverished, uneducated migrants. President Trump has called for a merit-based immigration system, which would protect taxpayers from being preyed upon by these economic predators. Legal immigrants, to say nothing of illegal, drain 33% more cash welfare than American citizens. They also consume nearly 60% more food stamps than American citizens, according to the Center for Immigration Studies. Cutting off those benefits would go a long way to discouraging the ongoing mass immigration from poor, third world nations. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says laws haven't changed, they're just finally...
You thought you couldn't see anything more strange, but absolutely incredible. This at Millis_strategic. Protesters in Hong Kong are using the American flag and anthem as a symbol of freedom to rally. Yes, over the weekend, folks, in Hong Kong, they are protesting the communist regime of China. They're protesting at the airport, attempting to shut it down, to be heard, to be noticed. And look at that. I'm truly emotional. I'm beside myself with this. This video earlier this morning had about 400,000 views. Now it's well over 500,000 on its way up past 600,000 views. This is the symbol of America. This is the symbol of freedom. We stand for and we are everything that is the opposite of communism, socialism. We are the opposite of everything that AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and all the Democrats want to impose on America. Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton's of the world, Maxine Waters, Dianne Feinstein, all of you guys, all of you on the Democrat Party. America is not what you envision it to be. America is what the world sees us as, truly who we are, the land of the free, the home of the brave, waving the American flag. Waving the American flag in your country because you want to be free in your country. Not saying that America should step in. Not saying that America should overthrow the Chinese government. That's not what they're saying. They want to, the greatest compliment you could ever give anyone in the world is emulation. Emulate that person or emulate that government body. The greatest compliment ever. I thank you and we stand with you, protesters in China against the communist dictator regime. And we're finding out more information over the weekend as Donald Trump tweets out, "Thank you, sir. Love every single tweet that you put out there, every single one of them. No matter how uncomfortable it makes people or maybe even makes me, I love it still. It's all good." But as we find out, China is absolutely crumbling right now. And it looks like financially, it looks like they are not going to be able to hold out long enough with their fingers crossed and dumping money into Joe Biden's campaign through his son. No longer going to be able to support and buy a candidate for 2020 election. The tariffs are working. Donald Trump's ideas are working. His administration is working phenomenally well this 3 years into his administration. Hey guys, better late than never. I'm telling you. I remember that first year was rough. Had to get a lot of people out of there. Scaramucci over the weekend acting goofy. I hung out with him at the last American Priority Conference, and I didn't see this coming. But anyways, got rid of him, got rid of Bannon, got rid of a whole lot of people. Reince Priebus had to fire him. Donald Trump running this like a well-oiled corporation. And that's the way it should be. None of these deep state or hanging on or people just sticking around forever and you can't get rid of them. People just doing bad things in the background. Now we've got Donald Trump hammering on all 8 cylinders, just running hard. Guys, this is going to be an incredible election, 2020. I'm so super excited, so super stoked. And again, you're watching New Right Network's original series, Smyth TV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, exposing the Democrats, exposing the Clinton body count for what it truly is, giving you the real news every single night, 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. Crush the share, crush the follow down in the description below with the show note links. Take the link for the show notes and share that with your friends and your family because the embed of the show is in the article of the show notes so they can watch the show and follow along in the notes as well as following and jumping over to Twitter and following the great patriots that help make this show possible. Thank you so much, everybody, for being that are already our Patreons and for jumping on board. I couldn't be more happy. Very proud and humbled as well to continue to do this show. Totally funded and totally supported, $1 at a time by our great Patreons. Again, I thank you so very much. I'm Brian Smith for Monday Motivation, exposing the evils of the world. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.